Okay, thank you again all for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to allow our presenters, Julie Johnson and Carol Mooney, to both introduce themselves before we start getting into the content of our webinar. Julie and Carol, would you introduce yourselves? Julie, did you hear us there? Are you ready? Carol, are you there? Would you like to go ahead and get us started?
I'm here. I'm happy to do that.
Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll get started.
My name is Carol Mooney, and I am the current chairman of the Alumni Panhellenics Committee for NPC and a member of my National Panhellenic Conference delegation for my own sorority. And it's my pleasure to be able to be on this presentation this afternoon and to help all of you get some information about sorority recruitment.
Excellent. And Julie, have you joined us?
I've been here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go to
Okay, I'm sorry. We're having a storm here, and I live in North Carolina, everybody. We're having a pretty bad storm outside, so I have a feeling it's not liking what's going on electrically outside my window here today. But yes, thank you very much. I apologize for the delay. I serve as a volunteer for the National Panhellenic Conference as well, overseeing our alumni panhellenics, which are organizations of alumni, members that have graduated from college in cities and metropolitan areas throughout the country. Carol is our direct person that oversees that area. But then also our college panhellenics, which are all the organizations on college campuses across North America. And we are represented on 675 campuses in North America where we have sorority chapters right now. So then we're going to talk a little bit this afternoon, talk a little bit about the sorority experience and why you'd be interested in it, and glad to see that you're interested today. Some of you may have already signed up for recruitment for this fall, and then others of you, depending upon the campus in which you're going to, maybe their primary recruitment period may be held in the winter months, which is called deferred recruitment. Caitlin, if you could advance the slide too, because I don't have power to do that right now. There we go. So let's talk a little bit about what is a sorority and what does that mean to be a member of an organization. You know, sororities started forming in the mid-1800s, and the purpose at that time was to provide space and really kind of a nurturing environment for women that all were attending male-dominated colleges and universities. If you think about what it was like way back when, well, it's hard for us to imagine, but, you know, women would go off to college. At that time, it was a finishing school type of experience. Really, the only professions that were available to women at that time were you could become a teacher or you could become a nurse, and a lot of times women went to school really to get their MRS degree. So things really have changed. They were in these male-dominated environments, which were really problematic because the women weren't welcome on a number of those campuses, although there were a few of all women's campuses which were primarily at the time normal schools or at that time teacher colleges. Organizations at that time then focused on academics, on support for one another on the campus, and then to each other to work on some community service and philanthropic goals, but mainly to be a resource and a resource for one another. Over time, sororities have continued with these themes. We encourage our members and young women to live value-based lives in college and beyond. All sororities have varying creeds and mottos, but they strive to provide members with friendship, opportunities for personal development, and of course fun. Offering members these opportunities to be well-rounded individuals by supporting what is learned in the classroom with relevant life skills. And so you'll see a great emphasis on leadership development, on community service, on refining one's own personal agendas, and to help them once they graduate to be productive and successful women in the community, whether that be professionally, whether that be through their volunteer lives, but then also within their personal lives as well. Okay, the next slide then. So why should you join a sorority? These are kind of the basic tenets in which we have about positive things about joining a sorority. Like I said, sororities provide opportunities for members to become well-rounded by programming in these 6 areas: personal development, academic excellence, lifelong friendship, social opportunities, and social skill development, networking opportunities, and then civic engagement. Personal development, the first we have listed there, is offered on a variety of ways. We're working with women from all different kinds of backgrounds, learning how to have conversations with people you just met through recruitment, programming in areas of etiquette, personal finance, more, and then of course leadership opportunities. Academic excellence is a goal for all sorority chapters, striving to perform better than the all-women's grade point average. And on most campuses across the country, our chapters and the Panhellenic, which is the combination of all the groups, our combined GPA is higher than the all-women's average on that campus or the all-student average. We are supported through academic mentorships, awards, scholarship opportunities, and of course study hours. Many chapters have support within their majors of members to help them, especially incoming freshmen, whatever the killer freshman classes are, weed out classes. It could be chemistry, could be some kind of a math class or whatever, but a lot of times you'll find support and study groups to help you in those endeavors with that. The third bullet there, lifelong friendships are developed with women in your chapter and even with your chapter advisors. There are social opportunities and social skill development. It comes in the forms of mixers and dances. We provide ways to meet new people in a variety of settings. Members have the opportunity to network with members and alumni across the country through conventions and leadership programs and events as well. And we also build connections with our local alumni. All of our chapters have local advisors that work with that, which may be graduates of that campus or maybe graduates from other campuses that come together and still work with that. And it continues to encourage the lifetime membership that we have in our organization. I think you'll find that sorority women are engaged in the community through philanthropy and service. We are educated about not only our organization, but of what their own sorority supports, but also about the great causes that other fraternal organizations on your campus will also support as well. So it's very, very engaging as an engaging experience. Okay, our next slide then, Caitlin. There are a lot of different types of sororities, and I think when you get to a campus, I know myself when I went, when you hear the phrase, it's all Greek to me, it was all Greek, it truly was, because I didn't understand what was going on with that. But there are a variety of sororities that fall under different umbrellas or governing organizations on a campus. This program right here, are members of the National Panhellenic Conference, or NPC. Sometimes on a campus you'll see things that are called Campus Panhellenic or College Panhellenic, and we'll talk more about that on our next slide. The National Pan-Hellenic Council, commonly referred to as NPHC, is the umbrella group for the historically Black or African American fraternities and sororities. You may hear these groups referred to as the Divine Nine. You might hear that slang language on campuses, and there are 9 members within that association. The third type then is the National Association of Latino Fraternal Organizations, otherwise known as NALFO, which is the umbrella organization for all Latin-based fraternities and sororities. NAPA is the National Asian Pacific Islander American Panhellenic Association, or NAPA, an association for fraternities and sororities focusing on serving the Asian and Pacific Islander community. The National Multi-Greek Council, or NMGC, the council or coalition of multicultural Greek letter organizations. Local sororities are organizations that do not necessarily have a national or international affiliation, and they only exist on the campus where you attend, or there may be one other chapter. We also have regional organizations or regional sororities that belong in certain parts of the country as well. Some too are based, you'll find professional affiliation, maybe like on pharmacy or music or agriculture, or even Christian stories that go along with that. You'll see that there are many different types of organizations and opportunities that you have an opportunity to be involved with. All of these different types of councils may or may not be on the campus where you're attending. It really kind of depends. But Panhellenic will be the one that you'll see the most. So if you go to the next page, you're going to see a little bit. NPC, or the National Panhellenic Conference, has 26 member sororities of our organization. So here you can see the badges of all the 26 member groups. Chapters from these organizations are more than 660 campuses. It's over 675 campuses now throughout the United States and Canada, with more than 300,000 undergraduate members. So we're a rather large organization. In fact, with our alumni members, we are one of the largest organizations in the world, women's organizations in the world. Alumni of our organizations are represented in more than 3,000 alumni associations or chapters throughout the world. NPC member sororities on campus form the College Panhellenic. And a College Panhellenic is the local governing body. Its purpose is to foster positive interpersonal relationships, uphold the policies of NPC, and most important to you, organize the recruitment process, which I think you'll be looking at here in the next couple of weeks or months. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. The one thing about going through the recruitment or talking about stories is there's a lot of terminology that's used, and it is confusing, I think, as a person going through recruitment, especially if you may or may not have had someone in your family or a close friend or maybe a neighbor that has been a member of a sorority or has gone through the sorority experience. So let's just take a few minutes. If you would look at the terms here on the left-hand column, and then also the adjectives, you can just see if you can just in your head mentally try to match one up with one another, and I'll give you a couple minutes to look at that. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at that. So let's talk about some of this terminology that you're going to run into when you go onto a campus, whether or not you choose to go through recruitment or not. So look at the first one, new member. And a new member, or sometimes you may have heard the term pledge. It was changed to the word new member probably about 12 or 15 years ago, but some campuses still use old vernacular with that. So new member, and what would you think that would be? Number 3, thank you, Errol. It's so hard to do this program and nobody can respond back to you. A new member or a pledge, you may have heard that term as well. Sometimes other organizations will call them affiliate members or associate members as well, but new member is a term that we use generically here. New member is a woman who has accepted a bid of membership to an NPC organization and is not yet initiated. Okay, let's talk about continuous open bidding. Continuous open bidding, what would that be? Okay, read number 1. Continuous open bidding happens immediately after the primary or formal recruitment period, and it's an opportunity for chapters that do not reach or match the quota during the recruitment process to extend additional invitations for membership to be either at quota and or total. And I realize that those are terms that you don't have to be worried about right now, but just suffice it to know that those are opportunities for chapters to extend additional invitations for women to join the process. Let's look at number 3, initiation. And initiation would be number 4 there, the traditional ceremony that brings a new member into full membership of a sorority. Most of our programs, the new member experience period lasts somewhere in the 4 to 8 week period range. There is one organization that does wait until they have actual academic grades on the new members before they're initiated. But for the most part, it's a 4 to 8 week type of period. Maybe a little bit longer, depends on the school calendars, of course, the almighty football schedule on some campuses, homecoming, fall breaks, and things like that. Then our fourth word there, bid. And a bid would be the formal invitation to join a sorority, and that may happen at any time, whether that be through the primary recruitment process or through an open bidding process. But the bid is the actual invitation that a woman may receive to join or pledge a sorority. And then number E, recruitment counselor. Easy to do since there's only one left. 2 is a sorority member who is disaffiliated or from her sorority to serve as a recruitment guide. So during the recruitment process, these women do not have any contact with their own member organizations, but they participate in that process through the Panhellenic way, trying to make sure that you, as a potential new member going through the process, has a good experience and the ability to make a decision all on your own without any kind of undue influence. All right, let's go to our next one. Carol, you want to talk a little bit about recruitment registration process?
I am happy to. So now that you have some basic information about sororities and terms that you'll hear during recruitment, you might ask, what's next? You're ready to register for recruitment. The most important thing for you to know is that you must register for recruitment with the local college Panhellenic by the deadline established by your campus. So in order to find that deadline, I recommend that you visit the local college Panhellenic website in order to find out the date for your campus where you will be attending school and locate the information on the deadlines, as well as important information on the cost of participating in recruitment, since this information varies from campus to campus. The cost of participating in recruitment is generally minimal, and it's used to cover the costs of food or transportation or any other items that you may use or receive as part of your participation in recruitment. Many times the college Panhellenic will supply a meal or snacks that are given to the potential new members to help them keep up their blood sugar during recruitment. We don't want to have women just go without eating. So they all need funds to be able to provide some of that supplies. Be sure to put the deadline for registration on your calendar so you don't miss the opportunity to participate in recruitment. The deadlines are there so that, number one, they know how many women to plan for and to provide the recruitment counselors with a manageable number of women in their group, and it just helps the whole process go much more smoothly. The enrollment process is different for each campus, so we've provided a checklist at the link provided on the screen that will provide guidelines to basic information you'll likely need in order to register for recruitment. So no, not everyone's fashion sense is the same, and one of the questions that comes up a lot is, well, I don't know what to wear, what should I do? So we recommend that your attire recruitment is part of your first impression, so be aware of what it is you're wearing. Look at it as going to a nice social event, a job interview, like put your best foot forward. As you think about what you'll wear for each round, here are a few tips that we can provide to you to think about, and some of them you might have thought about, some of them you might not. Be mindful of the weather. Depending on the time of year of when recruitment is, it could be cold if it's a deferred campus, which means the recruitment is in the early spring or late winter. If it's in the fall, it may be hot, it may be cool, depending on where your campus is located. So make sure that you're cool enough or warm enough, and take that into account when you're planning your clothing for the next couple of days of recruitment. One thing to think about, and it's something that I'm sure most of us don't think about, is if you're going to buy new shoes, break them in. You'll do a lot of standing and walking during recruitment, so you want to make sure your shoes are comfortable and that they are ready to wear. One thing is, if you are provided a bag by your college Panhellenic in order to carry like a notebook or chapstick or a little mending kit or whatever, you might also have room in there for a pair of sandals to wear between events, and sometimes that is a good thing. Just make sure you put on the shoes that you really want to wear with your outfit before going into the recruitment events. Another suggestion is to review the recruitment handbook or guide, because each campus outlines recommended attire for each round of recruitment. The prepared handbook or guide will be helpful as you plan, and in general, each round becomes progressively dressier. Some campuses do provide in their website a sample of what you could wear. They might do like a little fashion picture so that you can look and see what is generally worn by women attending recruitment. And most of all, please remember that comfort is important, but don't forget to show your personal style. Now that you've registered for recruitment and planned what you will wear, you're ready for the next step, recruitment itself. Recruitment is an experience. It may feel like a whirlwind while you're participating, so we want to highlight a few things you'll see. First, each campus has, as was mentioned before, recruitment counselors, which may be referred to as Rho Gammas or Pi Chis or Rho Gamma, Gamma Lambdas. I mean, there are many, many terms that are used. These women are trained to provide support and guidance to you, the potential new members, throughout the recruitment process. Typically, you will be assigned to a group, and that group is then headed by one or more recruitment counselors. The College Panhellenic will host an orientation for potential new members regarding recruitment. This event usually explains the campus-specific recruitment rules and provides potential new members with an overview of the schedule. Throughout the process, you will be having a lot of conversations. The goal is for you and the chapter members to get to know each other. Furthermore, the chapters may introduce potential new members to the chapters through songs or videos. On some campuses, you may hear songs or chants when entering or exiting each chapter's recruitment space. Videos may also be used to display chapter personality and provide education about the different initiatives and activities of the chapter and their international organization. These may cover philanthropy, sisterhood activities, history, etc. And on every campus, at the closing of each round, you will make your selections for the following round. It's important to note not all of the potential new members the chapters are interested in will return to visit that chapter, and likewise not all of the chapters you want to visit will invite you for a return visit. Your visitation schedule will be provided to you prior to the next round. Now that you understand the basics of what you'll see during recruitment, let's talk about some ways to make your recruitment experience enjoyable. Number one, and most important, be polite. You may get asked the same question by 10 different people. You may be tired and your feet might hurt, but be sure to be polite to whomever you speak with. The conversation is a two-way street, so don't let the recruiters ask all of the questions. Find out about the chapter's values, their events, and more by asking them questions. A second one is be yourself. Don't put on an act or pretend to be someone you're not. Recruitment is like finding the perfect pair of jeans. You want the pair that looks best on you and not a pair that looks best on your very best friend. Show off your smile. A smile puts others at ease and shows you're enjoying the conversation. And that smile can lead to ease in having those conversations. Importantly, do not listen to gossip or follow your best friend's selections. This is your recruitment experience, so keep an open mind to let you find that perfect fit, or you might end up missing out on one of the best experiences of your life. Another tip is it's good to take notes after each event. This way you won't get confused about chapters after long days. If you're on a campus that has a lot of NPC organizations, you have the potential of getting confused, and a lot of times young women will look and just identify a group not so much by the name, excuse me, but by the colors, and you could use that as a little reminder of which group you are thinking about. Jot down the top 3 things you liked or didn't like, and maybe a hint about the people that you spoke with. The best piece of advice we can provide is that you make sure you get plenty of rest each night. It's hard to put your best foot forward when you're tired or sick, and getting sleep is the very best way to prevent this. So we hope that this presentation has provided you with some insight into sororities and recruitment. The resources listed here will provide you with additional information. As a reminder, be sure to visit the College Panhellenic website for important dates and registration information for recruitment. Also, consider doing a little research about the chapters on your campus by visiting the international or national sorority websites. You can find a listing of these on TheSororityLife.com, and I want to wish you all a great experience going through recruitment.
I think we've got some opportunity now and time for questions if people have said anything in. Caitlin, do we have that?
Sure, great question. And we haven't gotten any questions just yet, so all of our attendees, just as a reminder, as we mentioned at the beginning, we'd love for you to share any questions that you might have that we didn't get to, or any questions that you might have that maybe you haven't gotten answered yet by the Panhellenic at the campus you'll be attending. We'd love to have you send those in. There's going to be kind of a chat or a question box on the side of your menu where we'd love for you to send those in, and we'll be happy to answer them while we're here. So we want to give you a chance to do that before we go. So if you would.
While we're doing that, I'm going to bring up a couple things that I thought about as we were talking through this. One, Carol, I thought did a great job talking about attire, and I think it is really important to be comfortable. The recruitment book that you'll receive, and that may be a hard copy book or it may be online, and that's why it's so important to look at the website for the Panhellenic on your campus. There should be examples or suggestions about what to wear. So I would really follow those. Usually the first couple of days of recruitment are more casual. As they get farther into the process, things get a little bit fancier up into the final round, which is what we call our preference round, where those are usually nicer dresses, that's something that you would wear out to dinner, on a special date, or maybe a church type of dress. Certainly something that does not have to be sequins and boas and feathers and things like that, but definitely something nicer to go along with that. I think you'll also see on some campuses they provide T-shirts for the first day or 2 days during recruitment, so everybody will look the same. They'll have the same T-shirt on. In the chapters, they have some kind of a color coordinating outfit as well that goes along with that. But that helps identify the potential new members, and it also kind of helps take out that that classism that goes along with that. So everybody is dressed, tend to be more comfortable. I know I went on to work on a very large campus in the southeast that has a rather large population of women going through the recruitment process, and they all wear T-shirts every single day except for the preference round, and then they wear shorts, which is a lot easier and more comfortable because it's hot. It's near 100 each time when we're there for recruitment. So that you will still see a lot of different options that are out there with that. It's important, as Carol said before, though, to be comfortable. Don't wear something that's too tight because you're going to be sitting. Sometimes you're going to have to sit on the floor, or or sit in, or stand, and so your shoes have got to be comfortable. Your clothes have got to be comfortable for you to do that. And and also whenever you feel comfortable, you feel better about yourself, and will usually do better.
We do have a great question from our audience. We have a question that says, in your opinion, what is the most important question to ask an existing sorority member when visiting chapters during the first round? So maybe you can each tell us a question that you think would be the best thing to kind of either get to know the chapter or really kind of start on good terms with the chapter. What do you think was the best question to ask?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes, it is.
Carol, do you have something off the top of your head?
There's so many that come to mind.
I think one of the questions I would ask is to find out a little bit about the values that they seem to believe to be at the foremost of their membership. Usually it's easy to ask the questions, where are you from? What's your major? Kind of that goes both ways. But I think finding out about the organization and what they stand for, all 26 groups basically stand for the same thing, but it's how it's presented to you to make you click with that particular organization. So that might be one of the questions I would ask.
Yeah. I would agree with that. To me, I would ask the question back: what is it that they like about their chapter? So why are they in the sorority? Why are they in that particular chapter, and what do they like? I know. I'll give an example. When I went to recruitment, I didn't really understand all that was involved. I kind of signed up for recruitment at the last minute, not really understanding it, and I was surprised at all the things that went on. But to me, it was getting to know the women and what it was that they truly, and believe me, you will be able to ascertain this as you go through the process. Those that are, that are in the process, and why is it that they pick their group? What is it that they love about their chapter that makes it stand out above everybody else's on the campus? And that will become a very personal decision for you. Usually, all the groups on the campus are great, but there's a home and there's a fit for everyone. Kind of like when you went through the college search process. You probably visited a number of campuses. Some just felt better than others. You could just see yourself at other places, some campuses better than other campuses, and I would say that sorority recruitment is very much like that. You will learn, and you've got to learn to figure out what are those things that are going to make you feel at home, and it really is your home. It becomes your home. It's a lifetime opportunity and membership for you. I don't know, Kayla, what question would you ask?
Well, I was actually very much thinking in the same direction, because I was thinking, you can only get so much about what a chapter is all about from what's in the booklet or what's on their website. The best place to really know what a chapter is all about is from the women themselves. So to ask, why did you join? Like when you were going through recruitment, you had all these options in front of you. What stood out? What made you decide this was the place for me? Because you really can connect better with a member and understand better what their experience was or has been that led them to pick that organization and to determine that was their home, that was their fit. So I'm definitely with you on that one as well.
Right, and I'd like to add on to that it's important to remember that this should be your decision based on how you feel within that group of women, and not so much whether your friend is going to go the same place as you, but this is this is a life choice for you, and you need to be open-minded and try to put away any preconceived ideas or, you know, just what you've heard about groups even on different campuses, because it's that group of women that you're going to be joining initially. So really pay attention to the responses that you get to your well-informed questions.
I think that's a good point, Carol. It's not only where your friends are, but also I would say where, you know, you may be a legacy, and a legacy is someone whose sister or mother or grandmother is a member of that organization, maybe a different campus, but it does need to become your decision. Sometimes you'll see on some campuses where, oh, everybody from my high school always pledges XYZ group. Again, find where that home is best for you. Do you want to stay with everybody you went to high school with? And maybe you do, maybe you don't. Or do you want to look towards other opportunities for you? So it's really important to keep an open mind in the process.
Right. And then one other comment, I always have a comment, but the next one is that once you join, that does not have to be your only circle of friends. You have other groups on the campus who maybe your friends will join that organization or those organizations, and it doesn't mean you end your friendship with your friends, because it's something that I do hear happens. And I will say that as an alumna, some of my very, very best friends are not members of my own organization, but are members of the Panhellenic community, and I enjoy spending time with my sisters, but also with my Panhellenic sisters. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that question. That was a wonderful one. We have another great question, and this one says, can freshmen live in their first semester of college in a sorority house? And I think that really varies from campus to campus. But Julie, do you want to give us an overview of what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly the right answer. It depends upon the campus. On some campuses, I know some of our campuses out in the northwest part of the country, the women there go through recruitment, and on their bid day, which is the day they receive their bids, they move into their sorority chapters. Other campuses, it may take until your junior year before there's space for you to move in. So that really is relative to what's going on, how many bed spaces there are, what the norm is on campus. I would say for the most part, freshman women overall, and I'm making a generalization here, are not able to move in because, one, the chapter houses for the most part are already full with upper class sophomores, juniors, and senior members. There may be some opportunity, but sometimes in institutions restrict that, where the first semester you've got to live on campus. So it really will depend upon the campus. But a great question to ask when you go through the recruitment process and ask those questions.
Awesome. Speaking of questions to ask, we have another question that's along those lines. We have someone asking, how can I find out what the time commitment will be as a member of a sorority without coming off as rude when I'm asking?
No, I think that's not a rude question. I think that's a great question, and if it's not, it's a question you should be asking, because it is a time commitment. Again, that will vary by campus. I would say, as a generalization, every new member class and chapter, there's a meeting every week, and so I would say to plan on an hour and a half for that. Some campuses, you have a formal meal or you eat dinner together. Sometimes not. Again, it depends upon the campus where you meet, if they have a house or they don't have a house. Some of our campuses meet in classrooms or auditoriums, churches that are near the campus. It really depends upon what's going on with that. I would say that there's usually there may or may not be some kind of a social activity during the week. And to ask that question, are they required or mandatory, or are they optional? During opportunities of times of like homecoming, and depending, again, what the traditions are on the campus that you attend, there may be more activities going on. Sometimes there are educational programs that are involved for the entire Panhellenic community or the Greek community on that campus, or maybe for your chapter. So I think that's a great question to ask and plan on it. I think myself, I would say a good minimum would be probably 5 hours a week. It may be more, it may be less, but I think that's probably a good place to start gauging. I know as a freshman, and the first time you go to campus, it was for even myself and Carol and Caitlin probably would say the same thing. It was kind of eye-opening how unprogrammed your day is. Before when you went to high school, you'd have to start at a certain time, and whether you were taking the bus or getting a ride or driving yourself, what that would look like, and then your day was programmed the entire time through, and then after school activities. Well, college may be very different. You may have a class at 9 o'clock in the morning, 11:30 in the afternoon, 11:30 and then 3 o'clock, and then you've got spaces in between. And so trying to manage your time and manage your existence becomes, if you're not good at it, it certainly will become a challenge when you first make that transition to college. So 5 hours a week doesn't seem like very much, and it's really not, but it's up to you to have good time management skills to make sure that you're spending enough time to look at your activities, that you're planning for your activities, and you're studying, and maybe some of you may have part-time jobs that go along with that as well.
Yeah, I have to agree with Julie. It's an excellent opportunity to learn time management if you're not very good at it, to improve time management, and 5 hours doesn't sound like a lot, or it could sound like a lot depending on what your choices are, but learning how to fit everything in is a good life lesson to learn.
Yeah, it's life skill you're going to need forever, that's for sure. And some of you may have mastered that already from high school with a number of activities and part-time jobs and maybe lessons or something like that. But it depends. But it is to go along with that. But I think it becomes a skill to manage yourself and your sorority experience. Again, some weeks may be more, some weeks may be less. But a great question that you should be asking. And I don't think that's a bad question to ask at all. And the chapter should be very forthcoming with you as well on it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think it's also important to remember that every single one of those sorority women that you're meeting are also students. Many of them have jobs. Many of them are involved in other student organizations, and many of them are doing internships, and all these other things are trying to balance. So they're definitely going to be expecting you to ask that question and to say how much time commitment, because they're also trying to balance sorority life with all the other things they're committed to as well, and they all want to be successful academically. So they'll definitely be open to you asking that question, because they'll absolutely be in the same boat as you about how to balance it with the rest of your life.
Maybe a way to lead in is ask them how do they balance their experience. You can ask what else they're involved with on campus and how do they balance that, and then that kind of leads yourself into asking how many hours does it take or how many hours are you involved with it. Certainly, if you're a chapter officer, that's going to take more time. So it really depends on how you choose to get engaged with the chapter as well.
I think that's all the questions that we've had today. We just want to give you guys one more chance to send in any questions you have left. But also remember that if you have any questions that don't come up today or at another time, we invite you to visit our website, TheSororityLife.com. That is exactly where you can find a lot of answers to these questions you might have that you haven't reached out directly and said to us, as well as any additional information that maybe you didn't even know you had the question, and you're going to find the answer there. And if there are any questions that you have that either you couldn't share today or that you couldn't find on our website, there's an opportunity on that website to ask a sorority woman any question you have, and we can guarantee that that answer does come directly from an active sorority woman who definitely has the experience to help you out there as well. So feel free to visit that website anytime you have additional questions or looking for extra information that we haven't gotten to yet today. I think that those are all the questions that we have. Oh, I'm just kidding. We had one more pop in here. Here's a great question about costs and financial obligation. She asks, as far as dues, are there payment plans for small payments rather than the entire amount?
I would say yes. In most chapters, there are some kind of payment plans available. And that's a question to ask in that process. Usually they'll offer that up very freely. Most women, I think I would find that, I shouldn't say most, it is not uncommon for women, sorority women, to pay their own dues, like their parents may be paying their tuition and room and board, but sorority membership is their experience or their expense, so that is not uncommon where women work part-time and are paying for their own sorority expenses that go along with that, and so obviously don't have that big chunk of money to make payments altogether. I will say that your first semester tends to be the most expensive because included in that would be your fees for pledging the organization as well as your initiation fees. And so the first semester tends to always be the most expensive for all freshmen, or for all new members in the program or in a sorority experience, and then it goes down considerably after in subsequent years. But good questions to ask and see how they do break that up. Again, a question to ask the woman is how does she manage it? How does she manage her to pay for the sorority? A lot of women, like I said, a lot of women pay for their sorority expenses themselves.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that question. That's a very
some campuses. I'm going to add in on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one more thing with that. Some campuses also, they do their billing through their tuition payments. So you may see that on some campuses too, where dues and or housing are billed through your tuition payment.
I think another great piece of advice that comes with the questions about costs is that sometimes when you are a new member or first-year member, you tend to get wrapped up in wanting every single T-shirt and going to every event that costs extra. And remember that you've got a nice 3 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years maybe, to be a member. And so it's important to remember that maybe you don't need every single shirt or maybe you don't need every single specialty item. And so keep in mind, especially when it's your first year, that you're kind of like drinking from a water hose, right? It's like all this new excitement being thrown at you, and sometimes that can add up financially. So keep track of that when you're trying to determine how much you're going to be paying overall throughout the year. Remember, if there's any add-ons that maybe you don't need every single thing, that you can say no to a lot of things, and there's going to be another, like I said, 3 to 4 years to experience all those things maybe you haven't gotten to yet.
Well, and I will say, and Caitlin, and beyond those 3 or 4 years, because
Right.
alumni like their sorority things too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it gets a lot cheaper when you're an alumni too, so that's an exciting thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
That's when you can really spend on those things.
We can tell reverse logic on that. When you've got more money after you graduated, when it costs a lot the least.
Right.
It's funny how that works. Okay, well, we appreciate everyone joining us today. We hope you've gotten a lot of great information from the presentation. And as we said before, just one more time, please feel free to go visit TheSororityLife.com. Anytime you have other questions, you can reach out directly to ask a sorority woman those questions you have, or you might find answers already on the website. We really appreciate your time today, and we hope you all have a wonderful recruitment experience. Carol and Julie, anything left for you guys?
No, I think that it's really important that you enjoy yourself and really seriously consider it. I think that, obviously, Carol and I, Caitlin, all of us are huge advocates of the opportunities that are available out there in sorority experience. Like I said, membership is for a lifetime, so if you have the opportunity to do that, would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Just enjoy yourself and enjoy the experience and find your home.
All right, thanks, everybody. We hope you have a great day.